All right, today we're soaring high into the mountains to meet a bird that just completely defies expectations. This is a vulture that doesn't just clean up what's left behind, it specializes in the one thing no one else wants. This is the amazing story of the bearded vulture, nature's very own bone eater.
So, let's just jump right in with a question that sounds, well, impossible. How on earth can a bird swallow a leg bone whole? It just doesn't seem physically possible. But for this bird, it's just another Tuesday.
And believe it or not, this isn't some tall tale. Not long ago, a veterinary team was x-raying a young vulture, and they could not believe what they saw. Right there, clear as day, was the perfect outline of a rabbit leg from hip to toes. This one picture proved it was possible, and it makes you ask the question, how do they do that?
To figure out how this bird eats bones, we've got to get to know it first. What makes it tick? Because, trust me, it breaks pretty much every vulture stereotype you can think of.
You know, if you put it side by side with a typical vulture, the differences are just staggering. Most vultures have those bald heads, right? It helps them stay clean when they're eating soft tissue, but the bearded vulture has a fully feathered head. And it doesn't really use a sense of smell. It relies on its incredible eyesight to find food, which is, get this, almost entirely bone.
And of course, that brings us to its name. You see these dark, bristly feathers right under its beak? That's the famous beard. It's such a unique feature, giving the bird this really distinctive, almost wise look.
Okay, but this might be the wildest fact about how they look. That amazing fiery orange color on its chest? It's not natural. It's basically makeup. They literally go out and find iron-rich soil and dust, and they give themselves a bath to intentionally dye their feathers. It's a completely cosmetic choice.
And like any cool creature, they've got their own lingo. If you see a group on the ground, that's called a committee. But if they're circling in the air, that's a kettle. The male is a cock, the female is a hen, and the little ones are called chicks or hatchlings.
All right, let's get to the main event, the dining tricks. How in the world does this bird actually eat solid bone? Well, the answer involves a pretty incredible set of specialized skills. So check this out. An adult's diet is about 85 to 90% bone and marrow. While other scavengers are fighting over the meat, the bearded vulture just waits. It patiently waits for the skeleton, securing a food source that almost nobody else in the animal kingdom can access. But okay, what happens when it finds a bone that's just way too big to swallow whole? This is where things get really smart. The vulture picks up the bone, flies way up, we're talking 50 to 150 meters, and drops it onto a specific rocky area, its own personal bone-breaking spot called an ossuary. It shatters the bone into smaller, bite-sized pieces so it can get to the rich marrow inside. And here's the kicker. This isn't something they're born knowing. It's a skill they have to learn. And it can take a young vulture up to 7 years of practice to get it right, to perfectly judge the height, the wind, the angle, and the target. It's incredible.
Okay, so they can swallow small bones, and they can break up big ones. But once that bone is inside their system, how does a body actually break down something that hard?
The secret weapon is in its stomach, and it comes down to one mind-blowing number, a pH of around 1. To give you an idea what that means, that is more acidic than battery acid. Just wow.
So this incredibly powerful acid just goes to work, and it can completely dissolve even a large, dense bone in about 24 hours. It just melts it away, unlocking all the nutrients inside, and with that, the mystery is solved.
So, we know what they eat and how they eat it. But where do they pull off these amazing feats? Well, let's take a look at their high-flying lifestyle, because their home is just as extreme as their diet.
These birds are serious mountaineers. They thrive in these remote, rugged places, usually way up above 2,000 meters. They patrol these huge territories full of cliffs and canyons, using the powerful mountain winds to just glide effortlessly while they scan the ground for their next meal.
And if you ever get lucky enough to see one flying, there's a dead giveaway to tell what it is. See, most vultures have these broad, fan-shaped tails. But the bearded vulture, it has this long, unique, wedge-shaped tail. It almost looks more like a massive falcon in the sky than a vulture.
And boy, are they incredible flyers. Breeding pairs put on these absolutely breathtaking shows in the air. They'll circle and dive, and sometimes they'll even lock talons and just tumble through the sky together. It's a stunning display of trust and skill.
So their life in the air is pretty spectacular, right? Well, their family life on the cliffs is just as interesting. Let's see how they build a home and raise the next generation of bone eaters.
They pick the safest real estate you can imagine, these super remote caves and cliff ledges where almost nothing can reach them. And these aren't just nests, they're fortresses. A pair will use the same spot for years, adding more stuff to it each season until it becomes this enormous structure, sometimes over 2 meters wide.
Now, when it comes to feeding the kids, things get a little different. Adults are all about the bones, but the chicks, well, they can't handle them yet. So the parents have to bring back scraps of meat and skin for them. And another cool detail, they don't regurgitate food. They actually carry it back in their talons, just like an eagle would.
Life up there in the mountains can be really harsh, and these vultures have a pretty tough but very effective survival strategy. The female usually lays 2 eggs, but that second one is really a biological insurance policy. The older chick is stronger and will outcompete its younger sibling. This behavior is called canism. It sounds rough, but it guarantees that when food is scarce, at least one chick will be strong enough to make it.
Living like this takes some serious dedication. Bearded vultures are completely committed to their huge territory and to each other. The bond between a breeding pair is a lifelong partnership, built on cooperation and those spectacular flights we talked about. You know, the bearded vulture is just this incredible example of specialization. It figured out how to thrive on something that nobody else wanted. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a bird can master the art of eating bones high up in the mountains, what other amazing specialists are out there, living these extraordinary lives, just waiting for us to discover them?